In these videos, guys, I'm going to be talking a lot about crypto and money. And when you're talking about money, people want to know that you know what you're talking about. So if you want to know a little bit about my financial background, come inside. All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel today. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about my financial background. It's really not a official. I don't have enough. I don't have a official background in finance, but I do have a real world background in finance. So, to get into the video a little bit, as you guys may have seen in my bio, or I may have said it in a previous video, that I worked for UPS for 26 years. And so what's important about that for my, as far as my financial background goes, my first, I guess, foray or venture into investing was buying UPS stock. So that was an important beginning for me. And from that point, the really important part for you guys is in 2000, I started my driving route for UPS. I worked in the building for 6 years, and then I started my route when I started driving for UPS. And so a lot of you guys have heard of Buckhead, Lenox Mall, Phipps Plaza. Well, I drove my route for UPS. I was in Buckhead for 20 years. I worked in Buckhead for 20 years. So I got to see, not only did I get to learn a lot about finance being in Buckhead because I was around so much money every day, but I got to learn it from two or three different perspectives, I guess you could say. So one of those perspectives is I got to see a lot of people with a lot of money every day. Another perspective is that I picked up from Versace, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Armani. I dealt with these places every day, and so as you guys know, those places, Tiffany's, these places are not cheap, right? So I got to learn a lot about money and how people shop and how really wealthy people spend their money. So I got to see things from that perspective. But what's really important for you guys who watching me for crypto, or you watching me for my perspective on sim racing and crypto and money on my Leroy channel here, or you watching me on TikTok with the Crypto Prophet or Instagram, what's important for you guys is that during that 20 years in Buckhead, one of my main pickups was from a Merrill Lynch. And that's where the heart of my financial knowledge came from. Quite simply, one of my first pickups when I started in Buckhead 22 years ago, I drove in Buckhead for 20 years. One of my main pickups was a Merrill Lynch. It was one of my first pickups. To say this in a really simple way, guys, I got in there and I studied my ass off. I studied my ass off every day of the week. I read everything I could. I read the Wall Street Journal every day. I read the Barron's Report every time it came out. I got to be friends, or I got to be good associates with a lot of people there. I got to be friends with brokers. I got to be buddies with financial analysts. I even had a couple fund managers that I was cool with. So the way that everything popped off is when I started picking up there. Um, I was picking up on the ninth floor from Merrill Lynch Trust Company, and I was picking up on the 10th floor from the mailroom, and I was picking up, the building is called the Pinnacle Building, and it's right on the corner of Peachtree and Lenox, and it was a lot of financial firms in there. I also picked up from Goldman Sachs, and I picked up from quite a few places in Buckhead, because there was a lot of financial firms in Buckhead, still are. And but this Merrill Lynch was, if I'm not mistaken, it was Merrill Lynch's main office here in Atlanta. And so I had a really nice lady that I talked to with every day at Merrill Lynch Trust, and she never told me any secrets or anything. But we used to talk every day, and she would tell me stuff that I need to go home and research, and I would go home and research. And then I picked up from the mailroom, and which was on the 10th floor, and on that floor, I was in touch with a lot of different people from Merrill Lynch, but more specifically the mailroom, and I got to be friends with people in the mailroom, and so all the information for the Merrill Lynch came in through the mailroom, and they would leave the stuff that I never messed with, the stuff that was in the guys' boxes, but I would always ask them if I could read the stuff that was laying out on the kiosk, and it was like, yeah, they probably figured I didn't know what any of that stuff meant, but they was like, yeah, man, go ahead and read that stuff. And I asked them, could I take a Wall Street Journal home when they had spares, and I would take them home and being friends with those guys. More specifically, what I learned from that Merrill Lynch is how much information those guys process on a daily basis, and how much information comes through that place is crazy. Is crazy. And so, and the way these guys had their screens set up, and you would see the analysts, and you would see guys, and all they would do all day was just sit there and be processing information. So picking up from there, the main thing I learned that has carried with me is how to research things, how to look into things, how to find out how things work, getting the proper information on different companies, researching CEOs. I learned how to do all that. So, but that was 20 years of real world experience that I got from that place. And I soaked it all in. I soaked as much in as I could. And so when it comes to crypto, specifically, my main secret, I guess you could call it, that came from picking up at that Merrill Lynch is that I saw Bitcoin at that Merrill Lynch very early. I honestly cannot remember the year. I want to say it was between 2006 and 2008. But Bitcoin came in a pamphlet through, and it was one of those things that was laying out there on the little kiosk or whatever. And I read it. It was in a very simple form. And so I understood mining. I understood all these different things about Bitcoin very early because I saw it in this pamphlet. I basically saw Bitcoin's white paper at that Merrill Lynch really early, guys. So I'm going to be, quite honest. I didn't believe in it back then. I read it. I thought it was a neat concept, but I was like, what are people going to use this for? I'm not investing any money into this, right? So with that said, I have watched Bitcoin over the years like a hawk. But where that differentiates me from most people that you're gonna see a lot of people out here that believe in decentralization, and they believe in all the things that Bitcoin can do, and they believe in the hash rate, and they believe in the myth of Satoshi Nakamoto, and they believe in all that stuff, and that's great. That's great. That's what you're gonna get on their channel. What you're gonna get on my channel is that this has been the banks from day one. If I saw Bitcoin at Merrill Lynch and I understood it as a UPS man, how many people you think at that Merrill Lynch or at the banks in general saw Bitcoin and understood it and invested in it early, right? And so with that said, I've never believed in the decentralization. I've never believed in Satoshi Nakamoto. Even back in 2017 when the price ran up to 20,000 and I was like, wow. My first impression when I saw it run up to 20,000 was like, wow, the banks are getting it in. They making a killing. And if you look at the structure of the biggest companies in crypto, most of the people at the top of these different companies are bankers or ex-bankers. All right. And so that's the video for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.
Hallelujah!